Hello and welcome once again to another episode of Ghettofabulous Kings of War. Today we're going to have practice game number 3 for Adepticon 2020. My Goblins versus Nightstalkers. Scenario is Fool's Gold, and of course, because of Adepticon, it is 2,220 points. Um, yeah, we'll see. This game was a week ago or so, and now they're talking all sorts of crazy stuff about coronavirus and things are getting canceled. So who knows? Maybe we won't have Adepticon 2020, but regardless, I'm going to do my part and keep practicing and be the best that I can be. um, for those who have not seen my previous reports, this is the list I am practicing with. I'm pretty much locked in at this point. I'm not changing anything. I'm just trying to get familiar and good with it. So, the core of the army, 5 hordes of trolls, and of course that also means a king with Jareth's pendant, and he has a loot of insatiable darkness for a little bane chant action. Got 2 regiments of rabble for cheap chaff, 2 troops of legates for second line backup troops clearing kind of stuff, a troop of fleabag riders. They are mobile chaff for the real threats that are out there. 2 mincers because mincers are great, and Adepticon only allows 2 of Titans, heroes, monsters, that kind of stuff. And 1 giant. And aside from the king, we've got a whiz with Inspire and Banechant, a whiz with Weakness, and Magua and Jews. So 25 unit strength, 17 drops. Yeah, I've been pretty happy with it. My Nightstalker opponent has 4 troops of, I believe they're called Phantoms, flying creatures. I think they have 15 attacks, hitting on 4s, no crushing, defense 4, dash 12 nerve. So little better than your regular chaff in the fact that they fly and have a decent number of attacks. If they can get your flanks or into your rear, they can do some significant damage. 2 hordes of scarecrows, a legion of bloodworms with the brew of sharpness I believe they had, so that's going to hit pretty hard. 2 void lurkers, 1 has vicious and 1 has elite. 2 planar apparitions, 2 horrors, both of them I believe had the vicious aura for like infantry, and bane chant. So there you go. What does that mean? What does fool's gold mean compared to my army and my planning? So up front, just looking at the 2 army lists, I think I've got an advantage. If you go back and look at it, the only things that are really scary here, the Legion of Bloodworms will wreck anything of mine it touches. So, kind of like last game, where I had a horde of knights that I had to fight that had a brew of strength, and Pathfinder. Um, that I either have to mitigate it by feeding stuff to sacrifice it while I try to kill the rest of his army, or I have to commit a large amount of stuff to try to kill it very quickly. The only good thing is, compared to the Night Horde, this is much slower, so at least it's easier to avoid than a horde of knights. Um, yeah, and other than the bloodworms, other than that, he's only got the 2 void lurkers. I mean, the rest of this stuff, the scarecrows, they're not that dangerous. The phantoms are only a problem if I let them get into my backfield, and I'm getting pretty good. I've got the depth in units to kind of prevent that. So I just need to, yeah, deploy in depth and try to force him into frontal attacks, trading units, grinding away. I've got more units. I have better nerve overall and better defense, so that's what I have to force. As for the scenario, Fool's Gold, if you're unfamiliar, is kind of weird. I believe you pick sides first, and then each player gets 5 tokens, one worth, they become objectives, and you place them on the board, and you place them face down. You have 1 token worth 2 points, 2 tokens or objectives worth 1 point, and then 2 worth 0 points. You place them face down, alternating on your opponent's half of the board, and then at the bottom of turn 3 or the top of turn 4, however you want to look at it, all the tokens are revealed. My thought process is, obviously because my army is slow, I want to place all the objectives together so it's easy for me to get to them. And because I want to grind it out and trade units, it's even more important to have them close together. And I want them kind of on a flank so I can stack one side. That makes it so he can't outflank me on the one side. so that reduces his speed advantage. Um, and then he has three options. He can either spread his objective tokens out, which is great. That means at least one of his tokens will be on the flank where my three are, so I can very easily just try to control that 1/3 of the board or whatever. Um, he can stack one flank with his objectives that are worth points, and then it's a 50-50 game. If he stacks the opposite flank with all of his objectives, it basically becomes a draw. And if he stacks them on the half where the flank where I stack all of mine, uh, again, that becomes advantage me because my army wants to be jammed in and exchanging units and fighting a frontal fight. So I think scenario-wise, there's no reason to ever spread the objectives out. Even if you have a faster, more mobile army, um, you're still kind of, I don't know if that's a good, because if you put objectives far out to the side or spread out, again, if your opponent stacks heavy on one part, okay, you can claim objective off on one side by itself, but now you've got a unit that's sit over there that's not contributing to the fight, and you have to focus your reduced army. So that's the theory. We'll see how it works. Terrain table, not too inspired. In fact, kind of light compared to my last few games. And it's tough because you never know how, if you're trying to prepare for a tournament, you never know how sparse or heavy the tournaments are going to put the terrain. But I have a couple impassable buildings here, a couple forests, a couple hills, and I'm sure we probably play this as height flat, difficult terrain. So not a lot. I'm on this side. I don't know if I rolled off and got this side or he picked that side, but if I had to pick one of the two sides, I probably would have picked this side anyway. Um, I like this more because, all right, so if I'm trying to stack flank, I want to, I'm going to try to deploy the tokens on a flank so that the board edge protects one flank as I advance, and then the question is what protects my other flank? If I get this board half, I don't want to go, I don't want to put the tokens out here because it's in the open. But if I put tokens kind of in this area, this building, this tree certainly, and maybe this one as well, is going to block line of sight, hinder charges. Um, a building like this is going to really screw up with his flyers and things because now it's harder to get around. It breaks the fight up into little scrums, and I think my guys work better, and because I've got more units, just it helps if the battlefield's broken up. This hill, I can either get on it and charge off, which won't help most of my units because most of this stuff's defense 4 and most of my trolls, they're all crushing 2, but a few of my units, like the rabbles, it may help. Or also it blocks his line of sight, so if his bloodworms, which I assume he'll put in the middle, they won't be able to see stuff until they get onto it, so I might get to charge them first. And it keeps them from getting on the hill and getting a bonus to charge off. So opposite side, um, this hill, this building suddenly becomes a problem because it splits my force earlier as opposed to later, where I could, on this side, I can deploy units kind of in the middle here, and as I advance towards the building, then I can react and shift one way or the other. Here, I have to commit like a turn earlier because they can't advance. They'll hit the building, and they have to choose right away which way to go. And you want to kind of delay having to make those choices. So I think this side's better, and that's what side I end up taking. Placing tokens. So I want them on a flank mostly, but if I start sticking tokens way on a flank, it may give it away. So what I did was I put the most valuable token here, closest to the flank, and then overall they're kind of scattered 3 across the middle and then 2 in the back, so it's kind of balanced. I can place my first couple of units here in the middle, and they can still contribute to capturing the tokens, and then I can, after a few units are down, I can skew to one side and try to overwhelm one flank. And as I had kind of hoped, you can see my opponent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he scatters his tokens all the way across my backfield, and the 3 in the middle, so they're relatively close. He didn't put any on the extremes, but ultimately, this one is certainly in the third of the board I'm trying to control. So here's 4 tokens that I can try to capture, and I can mostly forget about these two. Obviously, it is the beginning of the game, so I don't know, but I'm hoping, deployment-wise, one of these two must be worth a point. That's the hope. Here is deployment. We'll start with him. His army is pretty balanced in terms of deployment. He's got his his legion of bloodworms right here in the middle, and then kind of going to the right and left, it's identical for the most part. He's got 2 troops of phantoms, scarecrows, a planar apparition, and the void lurker with vicious on this flank, and the same thing on the other side. Planar apparition, troop of phantoms, scarecrow, and the other planar apparition with elite. He's got one of his horrors here behind the scarecrows, and the other horror here behind the legion of bloodworms. So, and that's fine. These guys, the scarecrows are there for objectives, so it's fine that they're kind of in this flanks moving forward. And then the rest of his stuff, for the most part, can fly, so they're a lot more flexible. If he doesn't like where they're placed, they can move around. And these guys, the slow, killy ones, I think putting them right in the middle of the board just to march up is the exact right place to be. As for me, because he's got so many flyers and so much speed, my plan primarily was a fairly weak front and then a stronger second line. And then he either has to commit and charge into the front, even though he may kill something, then I get to counterattack. Or if he doesn't charge right away, my guys will keep advancing, and then he gets charged by a stupid rabble regiment or something. Gets grounded maybe for a turn, and then I can press in more. So that was the thought process. So the front is weaker, rabble regiment, mincer, trolls, mincer, rabble regiment. I like the rabbles on the flanks, so if flyers or things come up in turn, first of all, they're the same depth as a troll horde, so they can screen them from flank charges pretty well if they're right next to each other. And 2, sometimes I want flank charges. I want his flyers to commit, and if they see a flank charge, it may entice them more into killing a rabble unit, so I can countercharge with my rear line: troll horde, giant, luggets, fleabag troop, other luggets, and then 2 troll hordes. I've got my Inspiring Wizard, Weakness Wizard, and Magua and Juice here. If I get first turn, I'm going to step up and try to snipe this Phantom troop here. It's, Lightning 10 against a Defense 3 opponent. He doesn't have any Inspiring, and they're Dash 12. So if I get lucky, I could maybe spike the roll and kill them first turn if I get it. And he doesn't have any shooting, so there's no risk to me having these guys up here. So it's a long shot, but I'll take it if I get a chance. And I do. I get first turn, so the only problem is these wizards moving up to get lightning off blocks this troll unit, so they can't move up really. But that's fine. For the most part, I'm going to anchor in the center line, and then like a hinge or something is going to wheel across. And you can already see we're kind of developing. These 4 units are going to start moving up on this side. All this stuff is going to face over here. I've got a couple units, this troll, maybe this luggets, kind of in the middle, and then they will commit as needed one way or the other. And this is just another angle of the same thing. Look at that. It's lovely. Thing of beauty. Lightning does 4 damage, so I need an 8, I think, because they're Dash 12, but I don't get it. Unfortunately, it is worth a shot, but now he's got the 2 planar apparitions, so I'm sure they'll heal up quickly. Bottom of 1, you can see he's a little hesitant on my left here, which I think is correct. I've got a lot more beef on this flank than he does, so he approaches a bit to try to get a couple things in threat range, but the major advance is on the right, where he's got a lot more strength. These guys run forward, the scarecrows move up, and these flyers are moving up so they can start trying to put pressure on this flank. I think I've got, again, enough units, enough depth that he's not going to be able to do that, though. have to force him to do something. These guys are in charge range, but that's fine. They probably can't kill either one with a frontal charge, and then I can just grind him out. So he's going to have to make a decision, and I don't think he has any good ones. So these guys push here. The Luggets here come around to provide backup, a third layer really. And these trolls commit to the right, so they can start trying to threaten the flank here and put more assets over here, because I have to really overwhelm these bloodworms if I want to kill them. However, if you look carefully, again, he has the Phantom Troop back here. These guys are in charge range for these Phantoms, or in the arc, but it would be a hindered charge, and I'm going to try to cast weakness with my wizard on them. So it's a bit of a gamble, but if I can get him, it's kind of a tempting one too. I don't know how much he wants to gamble in trying to kill these guys with a hindered, no crushing strength. Maybe these guys are weakened attack. And if he does go for it, I may have some counters. That part's fine. The problem came up with, that also means there's a dead spot where this guy, even though he can't charge, he has an out now, or he can fly over here and start threatening all this. I don't have anything to hit him with, except for maybe Magua and Jews here, but that's not going to be enough. So I think that was not something I was planning on. This, giving him this option was. We must have lightning bolted him. I'm not sure why, but we did weaken him as well. So that part at least went off well. So that will make it harder for him to kill those trolls if he goes for that charge. Bottom of 2, he does take that charge. So you can see the trolls here have troop of phantoms in the front, troop of phantoms in the flank. His horror moves up, has Bane Chant, so I can try to counteract my weakness, which I'd forgotten about. The planar apparition moves up pretty close. It's kind of gutsy in a way, especially with like this Magua and Jews individual, but I don't know if he wanted to heal these guys. This guy, the Void Lurker, does jump into that little hole I presented for him, unfortunately, so that's not good. These guys just, you can see the bloodworms move up on the hill, so now they're in range of a lot of stuff, and he's got some backup stuff. He wanted to try to fly even further over here, but he couldn't quite go 10 and get out of these guys' arc and then turn back. He didn't want to just pivot and move all the way over, so that's good. They're stuck in my front now. And yep, just close up here, you can see this battle will be pivotal. if these guys actually kill my trolls, I don't have actually a lot to counter with. These guys, Magua and Jews, and maybe these Fleabag Riders, but that's it. And then that's going to be ugly for me. And yep, just the general advance. Now, my opponent was moving up. He's like, all right, he's doing a lot of measuring. This Bloodworm unit is in range of my trolls, the Mincer, the Rabble. He measured and made sure this troll horde was out, but he didn't measure to see if this troll unit was in. And I thought, well, if these guys are in, that corner is not that much further. These guys are probably in. I don't know how likely it is. And I kind of wanted to point it out. It's like, yeah, you want to check these guys too? But I thought, no, he's thinking, there's a million things he's thinking of, and maybe we'll be able to surprise him and overwhelm him. So that will be something for next turn. Only does 4 wounds here, which is excellent. They're not even wavered, so that's good. I don't have to bring my headstrong guy over here because he's way off to the right and he'd have to run, not Bane Chant. Now these guys, 18 attacks, 9 hits against defense 4, so they're wounding on 2s. They should be able to do 7 or 8 wounds, hopefully. But with a unit that's dash 12, that's not this, and I've got Inspiring nearby. There's a good chance these guys, especially if they don't roll really well, may not kill something by themselves. So I'm going to have to decide how much I want to gamble on the trolls attacking here, and maybe these guys attacking this other phantom troop, try to kill them both. How greedy do I want to be? All right, so top 03. So the game plan's kind of developing at this point. Trolls, Rabble Regiment, and the Mincer. I think the three of these units can kill the Scarecrows and capture the 2-point objective I placed and the 1-point objective. Even if I lose one of these two up front against these guys, I still end up with 2 units and 2 objectives, so I'm good there. Over here, this is in range, so I can do a quadruple charge into this Legion of Bloodworms. Hopefully kill them, because if I don't, I've got trolls and trolls on the flanks with these void lurkers looking at them, and all sorts of pain coming. It's not a guarantee. I think, if you calculate it out, you're looking roughly at like 21 wounds. And the Mincer has brutal. I don't know. They've got maybe 24, 27 nerve or something. So I think there's a good chance you can waver them as long as you don't flub it. But you're rolling a lot of dice, so hopefully it all evens out. This troll horde and Luggett group in the back will kind of linger in the back a bit to provide a second attack. So even if things go wrong, or even if I kill them, these things are going to fly in and stuff. So these guys can be the second wave to hit the Void Lurkers, or maybe this other group of Phantoms, or prevent them from getting the backfield. So that's they're going to do. This giant and these Luggets are going to have to move up into the woods and start putting more pressure back on the center, and then make it so that these Void Lurkers and this planar apparition are going to have to move out of the way. And we're going to go with that gamble. The Trolls are going to counterattack the Phantoms, Magua and Jews, and these Fleabag Riders are going to attack the flank of these Phantoms, because these guys are going to charge forward, so I have a nice open flank and hopefully take them out. So it's a bit of a gamble, but if I do it right, I take out both of them, take out the Bloodworms. They can charge my units after they kill the Bloodworms, but then I've got the Giants moving up, and I've got these guys as well. So I've got secondary, and I start trading units. That's fine with me. Even if he charges and kills a troll horde and I punch him back and I don't kill him right away, I've grounded him, I've wounded him, and I can win the grind. So that's all I'm trying to do. So let's take a look. Those guys charge in, these guys charge in, counter charges, moving up, and these guys ooch up a bit. I think the Mincer is in range, the Rabble is not. Just trying to get things set. We do, fortunately, kill both of these Phantom units. Trolls turn back around to face up here. I had the Fleabag Riders face back. That way, if he wants, the Void Lurker can charge him in the back, or the Void Lurker can charge Magua and Jews and overrun. That's fine. He's still going to get stuck here. And then the Trolls or the Giant could rear charge him, or he turns around and I get to engage him, or the Luggets can engage. It's fine. I'm happy with any of those options. Or if he flies over, the Fleabag Riders will get to charge him. So that's the good. Yeah, this is the bad. So we rolled a little below average, did 18 wounds, and then rolled 4. I think that's 18. So that's 22. And then with brutal, maybe 23, and they must be like 24, 27, because I just missed wavering them, which a waiver wouldn't be great, but it would certainly be better than them being alive and able to punch me back. So this is going to be painful. This is not this is not what I this is the worst case scenario basically for what could happen. So bottom of 3, what's he do? His Void Lurker over here actually charges over and hits the flank of these Luggets. and he charges this planar apparition into the rear of these Fleabag Riders. Planar apparitions aren't great, but they're not terrible. I think they have 4 attacks, crushing 1, hitting on 3s. So yeah, I mean 12 attacks hitting on 3s, crushing 1 against a defense 4 unit with like 911 nerve. He's got a pretty good chance of doing some damage to them. That means he's not healing, and this Bloodworm unit probably could use some healing, but he's taking some risks now because he needs to. In the middle here, it's very ugly. I kind of thought this Void Lurker was going to flank charge them, the trolls here, but instead, the Bloodworms and this Phantom unit that's back here combo charge the trolls. That should be sufficient to kill them. Void Lurker and Scarecrow Horde flank charge this troll horde, which should be sufficient. And then these Phantoms here, looks like they might, maybe it's a regiment even, because it looks a little bigger. Regardless, they charge my regiment of rabble here, so everything is getting hit except for the mincer. Good news, it's my turn for a bit of luck. These trolls take 21 wounds, but they roll snake eyes on them. So that gives me a couple options. These guys do completely destroy the troll horde that was here. Phantoms face out. Blood orbs face forward. He killed my Luggets, and he's facing the rear of this troll now. And he does kill my Fleabag Riders with his planar apparition. So I take some pretty heavy casualties this turn. But these guys, even with the blood life leech 2 and healing some wounds, looks like they're still maybe like 14 wounds. So I still got the Rabble Regiment, I've got the Mincer, and I've got Magua and Jews if I need to charge in. I just need to do a few more, and I should be able to kill these guys. So since he didn't charge me, I charge him. So the Mincer goes in, and you can see the tokens have now been revealed. I take that triple charge here, Magua, Mincer, Rabble, into the Bloodworms. He wasn't sure which way to face his planar apparition. He faced him towards the trolls or something, but that exposed his flank to my Luggets that were in the woods. So it's a hindered charge, but 30 attacks, hitting on 5s, crushing 1. And I think he's defense 3. So, and they've got brutal. So I've got a pretty good chance, I think, of killing him. And that meant my trolls and giant that were in the woods here could charge these Phantoms and get out, kill them, and then open up other possibilities. So that's good. A couple options over here. I decided I've got to take a little bit of a gamble now. So my 2 troll units charge his Void Lurker here. This is a counter charge. This is a fresh charge. If I can kill it, he can just stand there and just be a block, because he's, even after regenerating, he's at 13 wounds, so he's going to die with whatever hits him. This unit will be able to turn around completely 180, and then he'll have a frontal charge, and his flank will be covered, so he'll be in good shape. If we can kill this guy. So how's it go? Mincer does what looks like 5 wounds or so. That's great. Mincers are always great units to have. The Lugget does kill the planar apparition, so that's great. And you can see that the Phantoms here also are destroyed. I roll snake eyes after hitting these Bloodworms. So, yeah, that's going to be a real problem, because now they're going to attack Magua and Jews, kill them, and overrun and probably kill my Mincer. So that's the ugly. That's the worst part of this round. And that's twice now. I mean, the first time I had a good shot, but it wasn't great. This was almost guaranteed, and that's going to hurt. Over here, we do get lucky and kill the Void Lurker. So he stays there, exposing his rear and everything. He's going to get wrecked. And this guy turns around. So now it's a frontal charge if the Void Lurker wants to take it. And if the Void Lurker wants to try to hit something else, now he's got options. So it's good. We're kind of focusing it back on the center here. which is the goal. Bottom of 4. Void Lurker actually has something a little not what I was expecting. He just flies off the side and faces back to try to see some rears, maybe the flank of these guys, just put pressure on me. Since these guys are already at 13, he just flank charges again with these scarecrows, and he's got his horror with vicious and bane chant nearby, so that should be more than enough. These phantoms, maybe this is just a troop because it doesn't look as deep here. Charges the flank of the rabble, and when you combine that with the bloodworms up here, countercharging, like I said, Magua and Jews, they're hoping to overrun into Mincer, and he can clear all 3 of these guys out, which would be a painful turn. Scarecrows only put 1 wound on the Mincer, because Mincers are amazing. He does kill Magua and Jews and the Mincer. He wavers the rabble. These guys do not do well at all, and these guys survive. They survive wavered, but they survive, so that's a good start. Top of the turn 5. So, I've, I've, I've got the advantage. I'm doing well, but I have to be careful with how things go because there's lots of flanking possibilities, and he could quickly kill my units if I'm not careful. So, I got to start thinking about objectives now. So I move these Legates here between these 2 points. That gives them some options. They can back up, claim that one. They can probably pivot and walk forward and claim that one, or they can just walk forward and claim this one. And they're putting a threat area out here, so this guy has to move. The trolls that he was going to expose a flank charge, they flank charge these phantoms. So hopefully I can clean them out. They're a mobile scoring unit, so that's good. I should be able to wreck them. These guys, however, are a problem. There's a 2-point objective over here, which I'm not planning on getting, and I'm hoping they'll just sit there on it. But I don't want them charging into the flank of something if an attack doesn't go well. So I charge my king into them. He's got 5 attacks hitting on 4s, crushing 1 against defense 3 scarecrows. So as long as he can do 1 wound, he can hold them up. They won't be able to charge through him. These wavered dudes just turn around. I don't care. They've already got 7 wounds, so any decent hit will kill him. And pretty much everything he has left on the board is a decent hit. But this way, if they do survive and we do kill these things, they have the option of just marching and capturing this objective for me. And that's great because it's all about the objectives. And if he doesn't want me to do that, he's got to spend a turn with one of his remaining few units to kill him. The giant and the trolls here charge into the indestructible bloodworms. So, not that that's overkill, but more importantly, I want to kill it so I can get the free turnaround facing. On the left here, I triple charge the scarecrows and we destroy them. So now I've got 2 units that can advance and take this token, and the trolls can turn around, and they're tough enough that if his flyer wants to come over and charge, they can take that charge to the front, probably survive. I don't think I have enough time for these guys to advance, claim this one, and then keep going on to the 3rd objective off to the right here. But probably the rabble will take this. The mincer will kind of sit in the middle, and then it can cover if one of these units dies for some reason. We kill the bloodworms finally, and we kill this phantom unit, so that stuff in the middle is cleared out. We do put a wound on the scarecrows over here, so they can't just charge into my flank. It is still a little dangerous. If he can kill my king and overrun, he could get the flank charge, but these guys don't hit that hard. The king, he isn't super tough, but he's probably tough enough to take a hit. And he can't really charge the Void Lurker in to help out. I mean, he can, but then they won't be able to overrun, and he's committing a whole bunch of stuff to kill a character. So I think I'm in pretty good shape at this point. He's got his planar apparition up here. scarecrows, and the void lurker. And that's pretty much it for his scoring units. You can see his two horrors here. So he charges in the bottom of 5, his void lurker into the front of these trolls, and his planar apparition to the rear. And then counter charges my king. And that doesn't go well. He puts 4 wounds on the king. He might have had 1 already, but regardless, king's fine, not even wavered. These trolls, they had 1 on him before, so he only put 6 wounds on him, so he rolled pretty poorly there. He wavers them, but they're still alive. And at that point, he concedes. It's a top of 6. But realistically, when you look at it, I've got 1 point here. This is worth 2, so that's 3. These guys can walk over here and grab this one. Either these, or actually this troll horde would probably walk over and grab this one. The rabble can flank charge here off the hill, so they have charge. Thunder's 1. They can ground this guy. The king can just stay over here and hold these guys up for another turn. Even if they kill him at the bottom of 6, what are they going to do on turn 7? They're going to walk over this way and abandon the 2-point token? That's not going to help him at all. The giant here can flank charge this planar apparition and kill it. Or he could just pivot and walk over and claim this objective over here. So he's with only 3 scoring units, 1 pinned, and probably 1 or 2 about to die, or at least get stuck. He called it a game. Oh, look at that. Click to add title. I didn't add a title. Here, let's get rid of it. There. That's Ghettofabulous for you, folks. Anyway, so yeah, Goblin victory. Probably, depending exactly how it ended up, probably 5 victory points to 2, which is good. And good, not great, but probably pretty good attrition overall. I mean, I lost a decent amount of stuff. Several troll hordes. Well, I got 1, 2, 3 on the board. So I lost 2. I lost the Mincer, I lost Magua and Jews, so I lost a decent amount of stuff, and he still has his characters, which were more expensive than my characters. This Void Lurker I'm not going to kill. This flanking rabble is not going to do it. This planar apparition I probably would be able to kill in turn 6, but it wasn't a blowout. Better than most of my games. Normally I don't kill too much. I win by objectives, and I might even lose on killing, but this troll-centric army actually has been doing pretty well with killing stuff, so I'm pleased with that. So, lessons learned. The first one is most important, and you'll hear this a lot with people playing this game. Don't give up. When I first charged into those bloodworms, the first round I charged with a quadruple charge, and I failed to kill them. I was like, oh, great. Now I'm going to get counterattacked. All my stuff's going to get flanked. I'm going to lose everything. But all right, fine. I'm going to play it through, but I kind of thought the game would be over at that point. Then he rolled the snake eyes. And I was like, well, okay, that'll help. I mean, it's still a bit of a gamble to try to counterattack and kill his Void Lurker on the right. But it's possible. And then when I rolled Snake Eyes a second turn on that Bloodworm unit, actually, I was still positive at that point, because I'm looking at it, it's like, well, okay, I didn't kill it, and it's going to kill 2 of my things, but everywhere else on the board, I'm trading units. I've got plenty of units to trade. Yeah, this is fine. Let's just kill stuff. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the game, I talked about, is it best to always place the tokens clumped together as opposed to spread out? It certainly, I think, was beneficial in this game that I was clumped together and my opponent was spread out. I don't know if one game is enough to make it a truism, but I think it might always be beneficial to place your objectives close together. And it might be beneficial to always place them kind of towards a flank. You probably can't place them entirely way on the flank like it implies. Kind of like in my game, like 1 was towards the middle and 2 were towards one flank. So I can focus my army on one side and I can abandon the other side. No room for error encountering flyers. Um, Part of the way I deal with that normally is just having so many units in the rear and have them facing all sorts of weird directions that I have lots of overlap. But I did have that one, I think it was turn 2 or whatever. I had that one hole, and he was able to drop that Void Lurker in it and threaten the flank of my main line. I just overlooked it. There's so many places those guys can land, and it would have been so easy. Let's see if I can go back to that. Let's see if I can go back to that. It would have been so easy with a giant and these luggets here. Instead of moving around the forest, uh, just move them into the forest a bit. And these guys, I don't think this Void Lurker could fly all the way over my people. So I don't think I needed this. Maybe I was concerned if he charged in, got really lucky, killed these trolls, and then advanced, and it was out of this guy's charge arc, I would be able to hit him. Maybe that was my concern. I don't know. It just seems like it seems like it would have been so obvious to put something in these woods that could cover that hole, but I overlooked it. And especially in timed game, there's lots of things to think about and consider. It just takes one momentary lapse of concentration to make a hole like that, and flyers especially can just punish you for that. Ultimately, I think my opponent's army just didn't have enough punch. It had lots of toys, lots of little things that force multipliers that help make your own army overall stronger, but it didn't have a strong enough core to be multiplied. So, for example, did he need the two horrors? I mean, Bane Chant is helpful, especially with a lot of his army not having crushing natively. But like the vicious aura, do you need two of them that really add a lot of value? Either either his vicious is going on to his phantoms, 15 attacks, hitting on fours with no crushing native. So, I mean, really gaining that much from it? Probably not. Or it's going on to the Legion of Bloodworms with they're hitting on threes with 40 attacks. They're probably going to Bane Chant. It's probably going to overkill something. So do you really need a vicious in addition to all that? I don't know. It it I'm trying to think where he could have saved, or maybe do you need two planar apparitions, or do you need four phantom troops? Because like I said at the beginning, ultimately you only had three units that really punched hard. Although, and the scarecrows too. Okay, the scarecrows get vicious; they get the bonus, but again, they're not. It's kind of like when you have elite. If you have a choice of vicious or elite, you want to put elite on a unit that's hitting on threes and has lots of attacks. And if you have something with vicious, you want vicious to go on something that has high crushing strength and is doing lots of hits, so you're getting the max out of it. Like if I had a choice between elite or vicious on my troll horde, I'm gonna put it on my. I'm gonna put vicious on the troll horde because they don't hit very much. So getting to reroll ones, I reroll ones. I'm still hitting only on a 4+, whereas I may have fewer ones, but every one I roll because I have crushing 2 is probably going to convert over to another wound. So I don't know. Maybe I'm rambling. I'm just trying to think how his army could have been more scary because it was a bit of a gamble, and I was afraid when I did that quadruple charge that if it failed, I was going to give up flanks and he was going to hit me. But even then, it did fail. And where is it? I want to look at that. Because of how it failed. Oh, that's the beforehand. With this giant moving in, these trolls when they kill, they face up this way. These guys in the back, even if he charged in with these guys and killed these, if he had killed everything here, I still have enough units. Now I'm charging in. I'm pinning his two killy flying units. Hopefully, ideally, I can hit these bloodworms with something because they're really hurt, and as long as I don't roll snake eyes like I did, I kill them, and suddenly I've either killed his killing units or pinned his two flying ones at least, and set them up to be killed the next turn, and then I'm good. Then I'm golden. And I don't really care about the phantoms back here or the scarecrows. Those are easy enough to deal with. So I don't know what modifications. Maybe one less planar apparition. 'Cause he didn't do a lot of. He had one. This one back here did a lot of healing, but this one did actually a little bit more melee. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below. Good game. The army's clicking. I'm starting to get a little better at piloting it. But even like I said, even with all that, there's always little mistakes here and there. But the most important thing, the thing I had the most problem with previously, was jamming up and crossing lanes. And I don't know if it's because of the way this army is designed, or I'm getting better at practicing, or just better in general. But I'm not finding that I'm blocking myself so I can't get multi-charges off. I'm angling things right, I'm making the right amount of space, I'm staggering things, I'm making enough lines and layers that I can get a quadruple charge off, and it's not a problem. I can get flank charges off with Magua and Jews and a Fleabag troop when they charge my trolls and fail to kill them. I'm positioning things properly where I can take advantage of those opportunities, as opposed to being a cluster in the backfield where an opportunity presents itself and I'm so cockeyed I can't actually take advantage of it, and I miss the opportunity and then I lose. So that's good. Thanks for listening. Let me know what you think, and hopefully we'll see everyone at Adepticon.